The incoming currency crisis is starting. Be prepared. Have you noticed that the same $50 today doesn't buy you as much as it used to before? And your wage from work isn't increasing as fast as the cost of goods? That's the inflation we all know about. But what about deflation? Why is that a bad thing when the price of goods drop? There's a currency crisis coming that's going to collide head-on with the current economy. As you'll find out in today's video, besides the looming recession, the massive layoffs, and massive numbers of business closures brought on by the coronavirus pandemic, there is a hidden economic danger that involves our currency and that is already starting to severely impact us all. So what exactly is happening? Why is it happening? And what can you do to get prepared so you don't end up on the streets? We'll cover all that in just a minute. But before we get started, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notifications bell for more videos. What is currency, and why do we need it anyway? Before currency existed, if you wanted to buy any goods or services, you'd have to give something in return. This mechanism of exchange is known as the barter system. The problem with the barter system is that in order for it to work, both sides of the trade must need or want what the other offers. Otherwise, the exchange won't take place. Not being able to trade what we have for something we need could mean going hungry or losing our house, which would be a big problem. So ancient civilizations came up with a clever solution. They created tokens that anyone could redeem for different goods at certain locations, and thus, currency was born. These tokens, or ancient currency, which are the predecessors to today's coins and banknotes, became highly valuable since they gave the holder the power to acquire many different things without having to worry about the counterparty rejecting the deal, since they too could use the tokens and exchange them for different items at the town center market. Thousands of years later, we still use currency in pretty much the same way, but history has shown an obvious caveat for the system. Currency's value can go up or down depending on the interplay of a huge number of variables affecting the whole economy. Many of the most powerful empires in history have succumbed to the consequences of currency mismanagement, and the same mistake of the past are being forced today by the much-needed response to the coronavirus pandemic. Keep watching to find out what those mistakes are and what the consequences can be. Inflation and the fall of the Roman Empire. We all know the Roman Empire as a military superpower that conquered most of Europe, but also as an economic superpower with the most advanced banking system of the past. However, constant warring, a slowing economic growth, and the depletion of natural resources put a great deal of strain on the Romans' finances, and they began producing coins in mass quantities in an attempt to pay off their debts. However, what they didn't realize is that this excessive production of currency made it less valuable, so the prices of goods started to climb, unleashing the first case of hyperinflation known to man. This completely destroyed the Roman middle class, sending them to poverty. So imagine what happened to the already battered lower classes. This economic crisis, which started in the 3rd century AD, is considered by historians as the beginning of the fall of the Roman Empire. Does this sound familiar? There is a frightful similarity between what the Romans did and what most countries, including the US and EU, are doing today to cope with the massive amounts of state spending due to the pandemic. The Federal Reserve is currently printing out billions of dollars like crazy to be able to bail out businesses and rescue the economy. So, naturally, many economists fear that this will lead to hyperinflation, leaving millions of families on the street, deepening the already bad economic crisis. It'll be the Roman Empire all over again, only on the other side of the pond. These predictions may sound horrible, but what's actually happening is even worse. Instead of seeing high levels of inflation all around the world, some countries have reported the opposite effect, called deflation. which is characterized by a general decrease in prices. However, before you pop the confetti and start to celebrate, you should know that, under the present circumstances, deflation can be even worse than inflation. Keep watching to find out why. How could deflation possibly be a bad thing? During an economic crisis like the ones we're starting to go through now, the only reason why our currency could possibly increase in value is because the state can't actually print out money fast enough to meet the demand, which is what actually happened during the Great Depression almost a century ago. But why would deflation be bad if it means that you can buy more with the money you have? It's because deflation increases the value of our currency, and therefore also increases the value of our debts. Let's explain this with a simple example using Bitcoin. Imagine that you borrowed one Bitcoin from a friend in February 2011 when it was worth exactly $1. You sold that Bitcoin and used it to buy a candy bar, but since it was just worth $1, you didn't bother to pay back your friend immediately. Years go by, and your friend calls you today and demands that you pay his Bitcoin back. He gave you a Bitcoin, so he expects a Bitcoin in return. That was the deal. Since you don't have any, you try to buy one, but you're horrified to find out that it's now worth around $10,000. So you really still only owe him one Bitcoin, but in terms of value, you owe him 10,000 times more. Imagine, if you had borrowed 100 Bitcoins instead of one, you would owe him $1 million today. The big problem with today's deflation is that it's not only regular citizens who are in debt, but also governments and businesses around the world. Deflation can make most of us default on our payments, and if that happens on a global scale, it would mean the collapse of the world economic system. Keep watching to see how bad things can get, but more importantly, how to brace for impact. The deflationary spiral. Deflation under the present circumstances can turn from bad to worse for several reasons. In the first place, due to the lockdown measures, governments have had to increase their debt at a much higher rate than usual, and so have businesses. So there is more debt now than there would have been otherwise. Second, deflation, like the one we're seeing right now, severely amplifies the burden to pay that debt and makes it even harder to pay it off. This has an excruciating impact on economies like Japan and Canada, which are already among the most indebted in the world. The combination of these two factors can set off an infrequent yet devastating economic crisis called the deflationary spiral, which is what happened during the Great Depression. During deflation, prices fall so businesses make less money, but it also increases the burden on their debts. This causes business closures, massive layoffs, and reduced wages, meaning less income for families. All this reduces people's ability to spend, despite the fact that their money is worth more. Less spending means that businesses make even less money than before, making it harder to pay off debts to stay in business, generating even more closures, layoffs, and so on. And the spiral continues, completely destroying the economic backbone of the nation. Many of the conditions we saw during the Great Depression are already evident today. We are entering an unprecedented recession. There is higher government debt, many businesses already filing for bankruptcy, and there is deflation in several countries around the world, including the US. Thankfully, this type of currency crisis doesn't happen overnight, so we still have time to prepare. Keep watching to find out how. How to prepare for a deflationary spiral. A currency crisis can be a scary thought, but only if it catches us unprepared. If we plan ahead, we'll make the most of the situation and come out winning in the end. So make sure to write down the following 5 steps to prep up for what's coming. Number 1, pay off all your debts, both old and new, including all your credit card bills. Remember, deflation makes debt worse. Number 2, control your finances and your spending. Never spend more than what you have in your bank account, and make sure to pay off all your bills every month so you don't get into any new debt. Number 3, save. They say that a penny saved is a penny earned, but in deflation, saving $1 today could mean having several times as much in the near future. This could be an emergency fund to get you and your family through the thick of it all when it comes. Number 4, start a new business focusing on the post-COVID economy. There are several promising business models that are hot right now, and we'll tell you all about it in a minute. Number 5, secure your job. Make yourself indispensable at work so you're the last person your boss will think of when planning layoffs. Did it surprise you to see how deflation can be just as bad or even worse than hyperinflation? Which of these 5 recommendations do you think are easier to implement in today's economy? Leave a comment and join the discussion. While you're at it, please support us with a like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell for more great videos. And if you want to know how to make money in a post-COVID economy, click on the video that's popping up on your screen where we cover the most promising new businesses that can help you get on your feet and be better prepared for the potential deflationary spiral that is to come. Thanks for watching.